The inversion in 2016, digital advertising revenue in the United States surpassed television for the first time, $72 billion to $71, $3 billion. By 2017, digital had overtaken TV, broadcast, and cable combined. In 2019, social media alone exceeded print advertising globally. In 2025, social ad revenue overtook search in the US, $117, $7 billion to $114, $2 billion. This year, Meta is projected to exceed Google in total digital ad revenue, $243 billion to $239 billion. The first time in history Google has not held the top spot. The year what happened, Numbers 2002 U.S. newspaper revenue, peak $46. 2B 2016 digital surpassed TV, US $72. 5B versus $71. 3B 2017 digital surpassed TV plus broadcast. Plus cable 88B total 2019 social surpassed print. Global 84B versus 69B 2020 US newspaper revenue, bottom $20. 1B 2925 social surpassed search, US 117. 7B versus 114. 2B 2026 Meta projected to exceed Google 283B versus 239B through the 2010s. Google, Meta, and Amazon absorbed a growing share of the advertising market that traditional media lost. The money didn't disappear, it moved. The conventional story is that social media democratized content. Anyone with a phone could publish to the world. The gatekeepers lost their monopoly on distribution. That story is correct, but it describes the surface. The structural change was a bottleneck shift. Traditional media controlled distribution, printing presses, broadcast towers, cable networks. When social media removed that bottleneck, the scarce resource moved upstream to the ability to create something worth distributing. The creator became the bottleneck, and for roughly a decade, that was the game. The subsidy that built the creator economy. The creator economy is now estimated at roughly $250 billion, with Goldman Sachs projecting it could reach a $480 billion addressable market by 2027. More than 200 million creators are active globally. YouTube's partner program has paid more than $70 billion to creators, artists, and media companies in the past 3 years. What powered this was not just the removal of traditional gatekeepers. It was a specific mechanism. Major platforms increasingly shifted from follow graph feeds to interest graph recommendation models. Followers no longer guarantee reach. Content earns distribution on its own merits. Watch time, engagement velocity, completion rate. On TikTok, the For You page made recommendation-driven discovery the default consumption experience, not a side feature. Instagram's head, Adam Mosseri, has said plainly that Instagram is a recommendation engine, not a feed app. This is the subsidy, not the old kind, where you built an audience and the platform showed your posts to that audience. The new kind, where the platform distributes your content to people who have never heard of you, based on whether the content itself performs. A zero-follower account can reach millions. That was impossible in the television era. The platforms didn't do this out of generosity. They did it because your content kept people scrolling, and people scrolling generated ad revenue. The free distribution was a subsidy. Not unlike the ones I described in the subsidy is the strategy, and Google killed the click. Different market, same structure, subsidized distribution to capture attention, monetize the attention through advertising, and for creators and businesses who could actually produce content worth watching, the economics were extraordinary. The platform paid for your distribution. You paid for nothing. The supply side exploded. Then AI arrived, not as a replacement for the subsidy, but as a force that changes what the subsidy is worth. An RF's analysis of 9,000 newly detected English language pages estimated that 2% contained AI-generated content. Nearly 94% of content marketers plan to use AI for content creation this year. Adobe's 2025 Creator Report found that 86% of global creators now use creative generative AI. Merriam-Webster chose slop as its 2025 word of the year, with AI-generated low-quality content central to the term. Australia's Macquarie Dictionary went further and chose AI slop. The average cost of producing a 2,000-word article has dropped 44% in 2 years, from $480 to $268. The exact numbers vary by source, but the direction is not ambiguous. Content production is getting cheaper, faster, and more abundant simultaneously. The pipe still works. The algorithm still distributes content to whoever might engage with it. Nothing changed on the distribution side. What changed is that production, the thing that used to be the bottleneck, the thing that separated creators from everyone else, got cheap. And when it gets cheap for everyone, it stops being the advantage. Last week, the New York Times Magazine published a profile of Tilly Norwood, an AI-generated actress. The writer, Taffy Brodesser-Ackner, directed a scene with Tilly and received 4 passable options in 4 seconds. Her observation: AI isn't in art that's worth looking at closely. But most content was never meant to be looked at closely. That threshold is the one that matters, and it is being cleared right now. The tool is also the threat. This is where the obvious objection lands, and it is correct. Creators and businesses benefit from AI too. The productivity gains are real. Marketers report saving 5 hours per day. Production costs are down nearly half. A single person with the right tools can produce what used to require a team. I use AI in my own content pipeline. The economics are not debatable. And this is not only about efficiency. AI gives access to people who were previously locked out of production entirely. The Tilly Norwood profile makes this clear in an unexpected way. Tilly's creator, Eline van der Velden, is a former actress who couldn't break through in the industry. Through AI and motion capture, she now acts for a major director, using Tilly as a proxy. The technology gave her a career the traditional system would not. That's a real benefit for a real person. AI is good for the creator. It is bad for creators. The problem is not that AI helps you. The problem is arithmetic. The same tool that cuts your production cost in half does the same for every other account in your space. You produce more, they produce more. The platform distributes all of it through the same engagement signals it always did. The supply explodes, the distribution doesn't change, and the value of each individual piece of content, the thing you just made faster and cheaper, drops because it's competing against a flood of content that was also made faster and cheaper. This is not a temporary adjustment. Brands are testing virtual influencers because they offer control, availability, and significantly lower production costs. AI-generated influencers surged 40% in 2025, and Ogilvy projects that CMOs will allocate up to 30% of their influencer budgets to virtual personas this year. The performance claims vary, and the economics are not uniformly better. Results depend on audience, campaign type, and disclosure norms. But the direction of the budget is clear. Human creator, virtual influencer production, cost-full talent fees, significantly lower availability schedule, dependent and limited brand control variable total budget direction 2026 majority share, declining growing up to 30% Ogilvy est. Meanwhile, the income reality for human creators was already fragile. Goldman Sachs estimates that roughly 4% of creators earn more than $100,000, meaning 96% do not. For many monetizing creators, brand deals remain the dominant income source, accounting for roughly 70% of creator revenue. Brand deals are also the first budget line to be reallocated when a cheaper alternative appears. And a cheaper alternative just appeared. What replaces the moat? The pattern is now clear enough to state plainly. Traditional media had a monopoly on distribution. Social media broke it. Creators could reach audiences without permission from an editor or a network executive. The bottleneck moved from distribution to production. For a decade, if you could create, you could compete. AI is breaking that bottleneck now. Production cost is approaching zero. The tools are available to everyone. If anyone can create, creation is no longer the competitive edge. The bottleneck moves again. Where does it move to? The answer is not that you should stop producing. The algorithm still rewards frequency, and AI lets you maintain it. But more content, faster content, cheaper content, that is now the baseline, not the achievement. Every account in your space has access to the same acceleration. If volume were the moat, the race would already be over. The bottleneck moves to the things AI cannot replicate and volume cannot substitute. Identity, who you are, and why anyone should listen to you, instead of the 10,000 other accounts in your space producing similar material with the same tools. Judgment. What to make and what not to make. What matters to your audience and what is noise, including the willingness to say things that work against your apparent interest. Trust. The accumulated credibility that comes from being consistently right, consistently independent, consistently present. Owned relationships. The audience that follows you, not the feed you're in. That is the diagnosis. Here is what to do with it. The shift. The first instinct most businesses have when content gets cheaper is to produce more of it. The instinct is not wrong. The algorithm rewards consistency and frequency, and reducing volume means losing reach. That is a real constraint, not a negotiable one. But the mistake is treating volume as the strategy rather than the baseline. AI lets you maintain the posting cadence the algorithm demands without burning your team. Use it for that. But if all you are doing is filling the pipe with AI-generated output, you are indistinguishable from the 10,000 other accounts filling the same pipe with the same tools. The volume is table stakes. The differentiation comes from the editorial layer on top of it. Which topics you choose, what position you take, what you decide not to publish. AI can generate a competent post on any subject. It cannot decide which subject matters to your audience this week or take a stance that risks alienating part of that audience because the stance is honest. That editorial judgment is the part that is not automatable. It is also the part most businesses skip. Use AI in your production pipeline, but keep your hands on the steering wheel. AI is excellent at accelerating research, drafting structures, generating variations, handling translations, resizing assets across formats. It is not excellent at knowing what your business should say or why or to whom. The operators who will win this transition are the ones using AI to execute faster on decisions they made themselves, not the ones outsourcing the decisions to the same tools their competitors are using. If your AI-generated content is indistinguishable from your competitors' AI-generated content, you have not built a content strategy. You have built a commodity and put a person in front of the brand. Brand pages are losing reach on every platform. Founder-led accounts, personal voices, faces, and names attached to the work. These outperform corporate content by significant margins, and the gap is widening. This is not a trend. It is the algorithm responding to what audiences actually engage with, people, not logos. This does not mean turning your company page into a personal vlog or posting founder selfies. It means the content your business publishes should carry a recognizable perspective. Someone with domain expertise who takes positions, explains reasoning, and stands behind the work publicly. The difference is between a brand page posting a generic AI-generated carousel about industry trends and a named person from that company writing what they actually think about those trends and why it matters to their clients. The first is interchangeable. The second is not. None of this is revolutionary advice. But the window between knowing it and acting on it is closing faster than most operators realize. When content was hard to produce, you could get away with mediocre strategy and good distribution. When content is free to produce, distribution is not the differentiator, the person is. The algorithm still works. The distribution is still free. But the subsidy only matters if what you're distributing cannot be replicated by everyone else using the same tools you are. If it can, you're not a creator, you're supply. Being content is not enough anymore. Sources: eMarketer, Social Media Examiner, digital ad spending surpassed TV in 2016 to IAB PwC via Adweek. Digital surpassed TV plus broadcast, plus cable combined in 2017. 3 Zenith via Retail Dive. Social media overtook print advertising globally in 2019 for IAB PwC via the keyword. Social ad revenue surpassed search in 2025, 107 ton. 7B versus $114. 2B, 5E Marketer via Marketing Dive. Meta projected to surpass Google in ad revenue in 2026, 243B versus 239B. 6 U.S. Census Bureau. Newspaper revenue dropped from 4062B 2002 to $20. 1B 2020. 7 The Hill Census Bureau. Platform ad revenue growth through the 2010s. 8 Grandview Research. Creator economy valued at 250B in 2025. 9 SQ Magazine. Goldman Sachs. YouTube paid 70B plus to creators, artists, and media companies, 480B TAM by 2027. 10 Digital Applied. Major platforms shifted toward interest graph recommendation models. At 11, RFs estimated 74. 2% of new English language web pages contain AI generated content. Twile, Presence AI, article production costs down 44%, marketers saving 2. 5 hours day 13 typeface via the stack. 94% of content marketers plan to use AI in 2026. 14, SQ Magazine, Adobe. 86% of global creators use generative AI. 2025 report. 15, Merriam-Webster, Macquarie Dictionary. Slop and AI slop in words of the year. 2025. 16, The New York Times Magazine. Taffy Brodesser Ackner. Tilly Norwood Profile. 17, MetaPress. Virtual Influencer Market Growth and Brand Adoption. 18, Communicate Online. Group M AI generated influencers surged 40% in 2025. 19, Auto Faceless, Ogilvy. CMOs projected to allocate up to 30% of influencer budgets to virtual personas. Yekin 20 dollars. Demand Sage, Goldman Sachs. 1 to 4% of creators earn over 100K. Brand deals, Reebok 70% of creator revenue. Fabio Loria, CEO and founder, elect. Every week we explore AI without the hype, using data, analysis, and an independent perspective. Subscribe now. 1AO Answer Engine Optimization. GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. The SEO industry's latest rebranding of the same dependency and new packaging.